The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
CeeDee touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Welcome to Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee, the official coffee sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, live from the Star in Frisco, here in the SWBC Mortgage Studio.
And it's time. We don't have to pay anything for that, do we?
We have Nick Harris.
No, I don't think so. Maybe for some specific listeners' car speakers, but other than that.
At Nick Harris, DC, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. At Isaiah Standback. I am Standback.
That's right.
We got Christopher Beamer in the back. I am Josh Rodriguez filling in for Kyle Yeomans, who's not here for some reason. I don't know why. And then we got Christopher H. Beamer in the back.
The Beamer, 7 Series.
Actually, I don't know his middle name.
H?
I just made it up. What is it, Chris?
It's P.
Peter?
Paul.
Paul.
We're live.
It's my dad's name.
All right, boys. All right, let's get to this really quick first. The Mavericks and the Stars are in their respective conference championship.
Congratulations.
Congrats to them. Shouts to them. Dallas teams getting to the conference championships. How's it feel, guys? How does it feel?
I'm a Stars fan. I'm not necessarily a Mavericks fan, but I am respecting I'm respecting the Mavericks run, and of the
Where are
teams
the Heat,
left,
buddy?
Exactly. Of the teams left, I am rooting for the Mavericks, so I hope they get the job done. But it's been awesome to see the Stars kind of rattle off what they've got going on. They both have really tough matchups here in the next here in the conference finals, though, so it's gonna be really fun. I'm excited for it.
How are you feeling, Isaiah?
I think it's dope.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of basketball. Actually, I don't watch any basketball, but I did see the ending of their game, so that's pretty cool. I know everybody's really excited about them. I know Mark Cuban's been working on that squad for some years now. It's dope to see Irving and Luka really kind of finally meshing. To see somebody's plan really come to fruition, I think is always pretty awesome, especially from the sports management side. So kudos to the Mavs. The Stars are doing Stars things. That they've had that roster for a minute. They've added a couple young pieces. I've watched the Stars over the past few years because of my Seattle Kraken that are sitting at the crib.
Watch them get cracked a little bit.
Yeah, they got cracked this year. This year they were trash. But we got rid of our coach, which I think was a major problem. So congrats to the Stars. And, the Rangers, did their thing last year.
They did their thing?
Rangers, Stars, Mavs.
Does that put leads to my first question? Leads to my first question. Does that put any added emphasis on Cowboys, expectations on the Cowboys for getting to a conference championship this year?
I don't think it's any different. We also can't forget the Dallas Wings went to the conference championship.
Shouts to them.
Shout out to the Wings.
I don't think it's any more than it has been, for the last 20 some odd years. Sure, there's probably a little bit more fan angst whenever they see the rest of the teams in the city doing reaching expectation or exceeding expectation. But
someone posted a graphic that was like 10,000 plus days since the Dallas Cowboys reached an NFC Championship game. Compared to everybody else's now, it's like 1 day, 2 day, and then 100 days for the Rangers. I don't know, man. I one of the dumbest questions, and forgive me, person on X that said this, but
officially X now.
Officially X. They asked, is it making the Cowboys irrelevant in Dallas?
Oh,
yeah, no,
that's silly.
No,
and I said, you're a big dummy, dumb.
Oh, you said that.
I said that. Harsh words.
Dummy, dumb.
Dummy, dumb. Big stupid, dude. No, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what do you really think?
Trolling is what they're doing.
Do you actually think that?
No, they don't believe that in their heart. The Dallas Cowboys are the largest sports brand in the world.
Sports.
Just sports. I'm not just talking about football. The world.
Yeah.
So we're blessed to be sitting here talking about that,
That's actual football and then also the other football that nobody cares about.
Actually, football.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Cowboys will always be the Cowboys. And shout out to all the fellas from the 90s that really, along with Double J, for making this brand what it is, for everybody in the world being able to acknowledge what the Dallas Cowboys are. I don't care where you are in the world. They know that star. And that says a lot, not only about Double J, but it says a lot about those guys in the 90s that were running on a tear for a number of years. And
which is hard to do.
It's hard to do in the NFL, especially in the NFL where there's cap restrictions and all that jazz. So a lot of kudos to them.
That wasn't then necessarily. There wasn't cap restrictions then necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, the league there's a lot more restraints on football teams than there are, say, for like baseball. Yeah, like there's the Yankees are a big brand, but some of it kind of goes like I don't give some of it any credit because it's like you can spend as much money as you want to get who you want.
Yeah.
Versus in football, you got to work really hard from the managerial standpoint to really put together your roster year after year, which is why what New England did was so incredible.
Right.
It was so incredible because you know that you have to make things work, right, with a lot less, especially the more success that you have. So, yeah,
it doesn't hurt that you have the greatest quarterback probably of all time? Question mark.
That doesn't hurt at all. I mean, but even still, the Patriots, when you hear the Patriots name and you hear the Cowboys name, you want to watch the Cowboys. Even with all the success that the Patriots had and all the guys who made those teams successful, whether it be the Dallas Cowboys or whether it be the New England Patriots, they're no longer in the building.
Yeah.
The coaches are no longer in the building. And yet, when you hear those two brands, you still want to tune in for the Cowboys. So that says something.
I think that's true. And I think the guy was trying to make a point where it's like irrelevant in Dallas, like specifically in Dallas with all these other teams doing well. And I think that's a dumb question.
That goes along the same lines of the certain faction of the fan base this offseason that's like, hey, we should stop buying tickets. We should stop buying merch. Stop listening to our podcast.
Oh, go ahead.
To try and boycott the Cowboys so that they understand that they need to do something this offseason to get us back. And it's like, well, by the way, you're only hurting yourself, dog.
Hey, you're listening to a Dallas Cowboys podcast in May, by the way. Just FYI. It's an off-season edition of Talkin Cowboys. Yeah. So it's like...
And if
those people would not be listening right now.
Of course.
If you didn't watch it, we're going to watch YouTube a million times just to make our numbers go up. Just saying.
I just mean like it's a question for sure. All right, moving on. The Faith Fight Finish Foundation, Dak Prescott's foundation, held an event over the weekend, or I guess last Friday, right? CeeDee was there, and then of course Dak was asked about his contract. Again, Nick, do you want to share any updates from that?
Yeah, I wasn't there. I will say, so this would have been more so something for John here, but I was able to attend this event last year, and basically it's his foundation to help with breast cancer awareness as well as suicide awareness. Dak Prescott lost his mother to breast cancer, lost his brother to suicide. So the Faith Fight Finish, it's all kind of comes together for Dak Prescott's foundation and to raise money for it. There's silent auctions. There's
also support for law enforcement in the community, and also assistance to families in need. I mean, obviously a very great foundation. But to add to that, I just thought it was interesting that everyone's still talking about his contract, even though he's putting on this really great event.
Yeah, absolutely. And if some people recall to the draft, I believe it was for the Kalen Carson pick in the 5th round, where the International Fan of the Year went up on stage and said that Dak Prescott saved his life. He was able to finally meet Dak at that event last Friday night, which was really cool to see those two come together, and really cool moment for Eduardo Flores.
And he got the star treatment too. He walked the carpet.
Yeah, star treatment. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think when it comes to Dak's contract situation, there's no update until there's an update. In my eyes. Yes, every time that he comes into the spotlight and every time that he comes out into the public and he's asked about it, he's probably going to give the same answer until there's an update. So, I mean, for me, I'm along the same lines of.
He's not trying to break any news.
Exactly, and he's not going to. That's not his style. Even if that would help him in this case, I don't think that's his style necessarily. So Isaiah's under the impression that he's going to play the season out under the final year of his deal. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I think something could get done at training camp. I really do.
It feels like it, right?
But also it wouldn't surprise me if
we don't know anything, but just the feeling and the vibe is like, if it happens, training camp is where it happens.
Yeah, I think now though you look at the urgency to get other deals done. Dak is not the one that's getting ready to hold out of OTAs this week. It's CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. Now, Micah Parsons, I don't think that's contract related. I think that's just because, Micah's doing a separate offseason thing like he did last year. But you still have to factor that in because you look at these big three contracts. They haven't been making moves this offseason because of these big three contracts. Not only to give them flexibility this year, but also to understand that they're going to need that money in different places in 2025 and 2026. And those different places are these three guys. So they need to get these things done sooner rather than later. But, if you're CeeDee Lamb, why do you get it done before Justin Jefferson? If you're Dak Prescott, why do you get it done before you could probably have more leverage and a bigger opportunity to get more money next offseason? If you're Micah Parsons, why do it now when you could have a better year next year and up your price? So, it's a weird limbo that the Cowboys have found themselves in. Did they put themselves in this situation? Yeah, probably. But that's where they're at, and I don't think there's going to be any movement until one of those three pops. I think once one of them do, I think that's when you kind of start seeing dominoing a little bit.
And if they're waiting till next season, like next season's salary cap situation is even worse. So I think that I would hope that the Cowboys want to get at least one of those done on the,
it would be even worse if they don't get them done.
Yeah,
it would be even worse. And now if they do, then there's flexibility to be created, but that's where you're at with it.
Well, you mentioned CeeDee. CeeDee was at the foundation. I believe he was interviewed. I don't know if there were any interesting quotes about. No, nothing there.
Yeah, nothing there yet.
And he won't be at OTAs, the organized team activities that are going on this week. Granted, those are optional; those are voluntary. We won't get into the mandatory until I believe it's next week with
June 4th through 6th. Yeah.
4th through 6th with the mini camps. Isaiah, coming from OTAs, like, first of all, do you miss OTAs?
No, I don't. Not one bit. But they're important. They are important in terms of just getting back into the swing of things, getting used to waking up again, getting up, going to workouts, getting outside, obviously lifting with the team, going outside, doing your conditioning, doing your routes, all the things that you need to do, your calls, a little brief install type stuff. And then the meetings, especially when you have a new coaching staff on one side of the ball, is very important because you need to get up on game as soon as possible and get confident. It's not just about instilling a playbook and a system and a strategy and all that jazz, but it's also about being able to just react when you hear it, right? And be fully confident no matter what you see. If I say we're playing cover 2, okay, this is cover 2, this is my shade on the defensive front versus this type of look versus a 3-by-1. But if they come out in a 2-by-2, what the heck do I do? I need to be able to react to that. I don't want to be thinking about what did it look like on paper again? Okay, on page 77, all right, they shifted over. So you want to just be able to react. So by the time training camp comes, you're literally just playing. And now a coach can start manipulating you in positions and start playing with your strengths and how you play with somebody else, right? We might work really well together. Me and Nick might not work that great together in this particular package. So you want to get all those things hammered out as early as possible. So when you have guys missing, it kind of sucks. But when they're the type of players like Micah and CeeDee, you're going to be perfectly fine. But it's still, I think, at least for the defensive side of the ball, is going to have an impact on Zimmer's ability to really hit the ground running immediately. But he'll work around it. But from the player's perspective, OTAs are important for majority of the players.
Yeah, that's something I was kind of thinking about as I was driving in this morning. Clarence Hill had tweeted out that CeeDee Lamb is not here for the start of OTAs and Micah Parsons is not here for the start of OTAs. And the Micah thing was what kind of got my brain jogging a little bit, just because they're going into the first year under that new defensive system. Will Micah's role look a little bit different? Who knows? I mean, he's the most important player on the defense, in my opinion. And I think having him on the field for these OTAs would definitely help. But you would have to assume that there's been communication had to know that he's not going to be in the building for this week. And then you just kind of roll with the punches on that. Maybe he comes midway through OTAs. Who knows? We don't know what the plan is there.
And to kind of backtrack a little bit, is there kind of no concern for you for CeeDee not attending OTAs? I mean, is it more so Micah than anything?
Yeah, I don't have any concern for CeeDee not being here.
The offense is still in place. It's the same offense.
It's the same offense. You have to assume, my understanding for what we used to do, you have to assume that CeeDee and Dak are still throwing.
Yeah, and Dak has said that.
Yeah, and he has a whole field at his house, right?
Yeah.
So,
the Dak yard, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're getting plenty of reps in. So, it's about business right now for CeeDee. It's just purely about business, and anybody who's taking that personally, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And again, it's voluntary. I mean,
it's voluntary even when it becomes mandatory. It's about business.
Yeah.
Business first. All right, boys. Let's go ahead and take our first break. Let's take an early one. When we come back, we'll be discussing more about the schedule. We have the whole schedule basically to review.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back to Talkin' Cowboys, the official. Black Rifle is the official coffee sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and they're presenting this podcast. Anyways, the next segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, boys, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
We have the schedule to look at.
We do?
We got the schedule to look at.
We got to start with the preseason?
Oh, we were talking about the preseason a second ago.
We sure were.
We got a Vegas game in there. That's pretty cool.
And it's on a specific weekend, huh?
Oh, shish kebabs. So, if you were ever going to have a 40th birthday, you would want it to be on a Friday or a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Well, what happens? We're playing on Saturday night?
You're playing on Saturday night, August 17th. Do you know
August
what
17th.
Friday night is?
Is that?
Friday is August the 16th.
Which was the day that Isaiah Stanback was born, all the way back in 1984.
84. So that means I am going to be in Vegas for my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I just hope the dinner goes somewhat smoother than it did last year in Seattle.
Yeah.
Can we tell that story really quick? Oh my gosh. Okay, so there was 12 people at that dinner, give or take. And at the end of the dinner,
about that.
At the end of the dinner, the waiter gave us one ticket, and he's like, "Yeah, if it's a party of more than 4, it has to be paid on one ticket." And we're like, "We're not doing that because the tab would have been like $2,500."
Yeah.
So we're like, "No, that's not going to work. We need to break this down."
Right.
So from the time he gave us that to breaking down every individual receipt, we were there like an hour and a half.
Forever.
No exaggeration.
It was
like
awful.
by the end of it, I gave Haley Sutton my card. And I was like, "Here, I don't care if I
See you
get it
later.
back. Just I'll see you tomorrow."
Yeah.
And
that was bad.
That was that. Yeah.
That was bad. But no, this year.
But the dinner was great and the people were great. Community was great.
It was great. Had all my friends come through. Had all my squad from the Cowboys was there. It was a good time. This year is gonna be real.
Yeah.
In Vegas.
What
hotel are you taking over?
I don't know. Whoever wants to sponsor me.
The Luxor.
Whoever wants to sponsor me, because I am turning up. I can tell you that. I'll be fine for the game the next day. I don't drink alcohol, so I'll be perfectly fine for the next day to call a game if I'm in a position to do so. But Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
That's going to be a good one. So that's a preseason. So
preseason, yeah, that's okay.
Rams, Raiders, Chargers.
All right, now let's get to the good stuff.
No surprise there. Let's get into the good stuff. We talked about the Browns last week. This first half of the schedule before the bye week is pretty insane.
Yes, it is. Somebody doesn't like the Cowboys.
Browns, Saints, Ravens, Giants, Steelers, Lions. And the bye week on October 20th. So
go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
No, how are we feeling about it?
This, whenever you were looking at the opponents going into the schedule last week,
right.
The opponents you knew you were going to be kind of facing an uphill battle at some point in the schedule. Last year, at some point. Last year was on the back half.
Yes, it was.
It was in December whenever you had Buffalo, Miami, Detroit.
The gauntlet.
Who else was in there? Philly. This time it's front loaded, which I think plays.
Seattle last year, too.
I think it plays a little bit in favor of the Cowboys.
Okay, I hear that.
Because then you're not going into the playoffs off such a hard run there, whereas this time you're going into the playoffs. Yes, you have a Week 17 game against the Eagles, but
and 16 is a good
16 at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but then you got the Panthers around that, the Commanders around that. So I mean, it's not as hard as December this year is not as hard as it was last year, but pre-bye week last year. If the Cowboys come out this season and play pre-bye week like they did last year pre-bye week, they're going into that bye week 2-4. And then you had to play the 49ers coming out of that in week 8. That's when you start looking at some potential changes that could happen, because you have 30 players that are going into the final year of their contract. You have a coach and a defensive coordinator that are going into the final year of their contracts. That's where I think it could get a little bit messy. But let's say this, whether they are able to get through that early storm after week 8 or not unscathed, you have week 9 through week 18 where you only have 4 playoff opponents from 2023. That can give them an opportunity to either catch up in the division or to build a lead in the division, one way or the other. And I think that does help them at the end of the day, but they got to get through that first gauntlet.
Yeah, I don't know who made the schedule, but they clearly put baby powder on their hands and just slapped the Cowboys in the first part of the season.
Yeah,
that's rough.
The first 3 games, that's a hard start.
Browns, Saints, Ravens.
Browns, Saints, Ravens, and I'm not talking about the Saints.
Not familiar opponents.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Saints so much. Okay,
but even so, that was another question I was going to ask as far as trap games go. Like, if you pull out one against the Browns and then play the Saints like you did the Cardinals last year, that's an L.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you learn from experience, but take those first 3 games. Cleveland and Baltimore are 2 of the best defenses in the league.
Period.
Period. Freaking period. And Cleveland to me scares me from this. And I don't know if they're going to say, he always talks about the other team. Whatever. Okay, they got some.
That's exactly how they sound.
They got some freaking dogs over there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Some pure dogs. And there's somebody on the offensive side of the ball who probably wants a little payback. So playing the Cleveland Browns at their healthiest against, I'll call it what it is, the most dominating physical defensive player in the league.
Yeah, I'll give you that. As far as power rushers go, there's not a better one in the league right now.
The most dominant physical specimen in the league.
That's fair.
Everybody's going to say compare Micah. Micah is a notch below in terms of abilities to me. You talking about somebody like Myles Garrett who can literally just line up no matter who you are and put his hand in your chest and run you back into the quarterback. That's just one of his moves.
Even Tyler Guyton.
Tyler. You have a whole offseason, Tyler, to get ready for this. Film is at your the good news is
he is a film buff.
The good thing is Myles Garrett won't have film to watch of of Tyler Guyton.
That's fair. That is fair.
So that's a positive. So Cleveland gives me the bubble guts, okay? The Saints, okay, back at the crib like you're good. Baltimore comes in, you know what that is. Okay? You already know what that is. You better put your jockstrap on.
Who are you spying on? Lamar. DeMarvin Overshown?
If he's ready to go at that time.
Which the expectation is training camp. So yeah. Overshown or Leafau based on whoever.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see Zimmer's approach. First of all, obviously we got to get through those first handful of games, but it's going to be very interesting to see his approach to that team, especially with the addition of King Henry.
Yeah.
It's going to be that offense changes with King Henry back there.
You have to have a defensive tackle for that game.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. So I mean, I know we're getting the context of Zimmer's comments on Mazi, but Baltimore is dangerous for all the reasons everybody knows. Okay, so those first 3 games give me the bubble guts. You'll know exactly who you are. Then you get into the Pittsburgh, obviously New York is New York. Pittsburgh.
But hold on a second. This New York Thursday night game, you have to travel to New York off 4 days rest after most likely taking a beating against the Ravens physically. Whether you win or lose that game, you're going to take a beating in that game.
Not feeling great.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you that. I'm not, until I see differently, I'm not that concerned about New York. Right? Obviously, every team's different going into every season. As of right now, I'm unbothered by them.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh gives me a little bit of bubble guts just because I know they're coaching, because of how well they're coached.
Yeah.
But who knows where they're going to be at that point?
Who knows where they're going to be at that point, but what we do know is they're going to have a competitive quarterback play. And that's something that's hurt them over the past few years, right? So that team with the coach that they've always had and solid quarterback play, they could be a problem.
They made the playoffs with Kenny Pickett.
Exactly. Pittsburgh. So, I mean, look at Cleveland Browns, one of the best defenses in the league, okay? Baltimore Ravens, one of the best defenses in the league. Pittsburgh, one of the best defenses in the league. And then you got Detroit.
Yeah.
Who wants payback from last year?
Oh, absolutely. So those 4 out of the first 6 games, that's tough, man. To your point, I don't know what it may be at that point. We'll see. I'll give my statement after training camp.
Yeah.
Okay, once I can see the squad. But there's 4 of the best defenses and grittiest teams in the first 6 games.
And then you get the bye week after that gauntlet,
which sucks because you don't want a bye week early.
That's an early
from a player's perspective. Trust me.
Why not?
Because your body. You're asking me now to play 11 regular season games straight.
Yeah. And potentially playoffs.
And then straight into the playoffs potentially based upon what I do during the regular season?
Yeah.
There's no breaks. Your body gets no rest. Yeah. I would much rather have my bye week in the middle to the second half of the season. Especially, obviously, if you have plans and realistic opportunities to go into the playoffs. Because you want to be as fresh as possible. But you got your draw. It is what it is. The other portion of the schedule that I hate outside of those first 4 out of 6 games is coming straight off of week 8. Week 8 to week 12.
Okay.
That next block, okay, after the bye.
Yeah.
Because the good thing is you get a chance to prepare for San Francisco. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
so,
is, yeah.
In San Fran. Yeah. Okay. That's going to be, that to me, obviously, everybody knows that's going to be a challenge, okay? San Fran, Atlanta, young talent, we'll see where they're at, okay? But then you go straight into Philly, straight into the Texans, and straight into a Dan Quinn, who has transformed his roster. We'll see where they're at.
And he knows your offense better than anybody.
I believe he's going to be very competitive this year. I truly believe that team's going to be very competitive with a bunch of just contributors. Not big-name guys, but guys who all know what the heck they're doing, do their job very well, and they're going to probably sync and play very well together and communicate all those things. It's going to be one of those teams where it's like they don't do nothing flashy, but doggone, they're there. They're in every game. And if they get any quarterback play.
Yeah.
I don't expect the Commanders to necessarily be a playoff team, but I definitely am expecting them to split their Eagles and Cowboys games.
I think they're in the conversation. I think as of right now, I think they're going to push that conversation.
You think they have more of a chance than the Giants?
Yes.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they push that conversation.
Are they closer to the
not last year? Was it not last year? The year before we had 3 teams, 3 out of 4 NFC East teams in the playoffs.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can foresee that being one of those situations.
Are they closer to the Giants or the Cowboys?
What do you mean?
Like you had them in the middle right there.
Yeah.
You said you think they're probably better.
I think they're in the third spot. I think they're in the third spot in the NFC East.
Yeah.
Behind the Cowboys.
Yeah. You think they're closer to getting to Dallas, or they're closer to falling more so in the New York range?
I don't want to make that statement yet.
Yeah, I'm just curious where you're at with them.
I do believe that they're going to be very competitive, though. If you look at what they've done defensively, roster-wise,
right?
There's you should be concerned.
Yeah.
You should be concerned with what he's added on defense. They have literally kicked everybody off the team and just said, okay, you know what? Now I want you, and you. Okay, Bobby, come over here. Who else we got over here? And they just started grabbing guys.
I forgot they got Bobby Wagner.
You doggone right, they got Bobby Wagner in the middle of the defense, right? So smart, cerebral players that know what they're doing, don't make mistakes, right? And he put some splash players around them. Got young talent out there, okay, on defense from the draft. Right, and now on offense, okay, you got a young QB, but he also has Austin Eckler's and guys like that that can go out there and cause you issues for matchups. So he was very strategic in terms of putting his roster together. Enough time spent on Dan Quinn, but I think those guys are going to be competitive. So I think that San Fran, okay, then obviously ATO, whatever, Philly, Texans, Washington. That's another 4 out of 5 games right there that is a problem to me.
And then you just have Cincinnati coming up next, and then you just have the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that New York, Cincinnati, Carolina, I think that's kind of like if you were going to Cadillac it, I think that's your Cadillac season right there. Just
kind of chilling out.
Just chilling. I think if you're in a good position after those games, those 3 games are going to seem like a cakewalk.
Cincinnati?
I don't think Cincinnati. That's going to be tough.
I don't think Cincinnati's what they used to be. I really don't. And I think they have too many problems in the locker room right now, contractual issues. I don't think they're all one unit. I think what we saw from them a couple years ago where they were a complete problem, I think that's gone. And I think they're going to have to reinvent themselves. I don't think they have that identity anymore.
What's the tougher game? Monday night against Cincinnati at home or Sunday night against Tampa Bay at home?
I'm going to go with
Tampa.
I'm going with Cincinnati because of Joe Burrow's haircut. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw that.
Apparently that's fake.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Apparently
that's
fake,
a disappointment.
Yeah, it is. So Tampa Bay now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably Tampa Bay.
I mean, Tampa's a defensive team too, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the offense is going to have to step up. The offense is going to have to step up. There's not a lot of teams on here that scare me offensively. Handful of teams, obviously.
Are you more concerned about the Eagles this year than you are the Commanders?
Yes, absolutely.
Still?
Absolutely. Yes,
Still?
absolutely.
Yes, the answer is yes. But I don't. I'm interested to see.
You just seem very, very hyped up.
I am concerned. I'm concerned.
Commanders.
I really am concerned because I know what that energy of Dan Quinn energy does, and we've seen it.
Yeah.
And
it showed
effect
in the
on both
Green
sides
Bay
of the ball.
playoff game.
It's not just one side of the ball that feels that.
Yeah.
So yes, I am. I'm concerned about them. Philly's still Philly. We have to see what Kellen Moore is going to do.
That is a new wrinkle.
Yes, it is
in this season.
Yes, and we know Kellen Moore likes to throw it around.
You kind of forget about that. But.
You do forget about it. He had a couple stumbles down there in Los Angeles, but that
whole coaching situation.
Situation was terrible. But outside of that tenure, he's been very successful at what he does, especially when he has weapons.
Aside from the front end of the schedule that we've talked about many times, as far as being a lot of really good defenses, a lot of physical teams, you look throughout the schedule, you see a lot of teams that are just coach really well. And physical teams, you're going to need to come with a different approach than you had last year when it comes to physicality on the field. Because you go into a game like Buffalo and you know what's going to happen after the first drive. Yeah. You go into a game like Green Bay, you know what's going to happen after the first drive. And you can't have that happen this year because there's going to be more than just the 4 or 5 games where that happens. This specific schedule, you have about 7 or 8 games where that's the case. And you need to be able to match that physicality. I mean, you talk about the Bengals. Yes, they might not be the product that we've seen in years past. Still a really physical team. Still a really well-coached team in my eyes. Yeah. Zach Taylor does a fantastic job. Tampa Bay, same way. I think Carolina's going to be a little bit better this year. You got to go back there again this year. Eagles twice. I mean, you're going to have to be
What's your most physical game on the schedule?
Ravens. Yeah, it's Ravens.
Outside, even more so than Detroit and San Fran?
Yeah, it's the Ravens. Yeah, because you have to account for what's coming out of the backfield. And you're going to be having to take that hit multiple times throughout the game.
Who's taking that hit on?
Everybody. Whoever's playing defensive tackle, whoever's playing linebacker.
Who's a first point of contact on the inside?
If it's not a defensive tackle getting signed, it's Eric Kendricks.
Ravens 100% for me. I think
for those that don't know what he just said, that means that he's going to be on the second level.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Derrick Henry for the Ravens. That's going to be rough, man. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see him running up the middle. I just don't want to see him running, period. You just take that week off, man. Don't worry about it.
I think that's a tough question, man. I truly believe. I don't know what that looks like. Cleveland, physical. Baltimore, physical. Pittsburgh, you best believe is going to be physical.
Detroit.
Okay, Detroit, physical. San Fran, physical.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on what you're saying,
y'all can text
they're
that
going to
in.
be beat up. They're going to be beat up.
Commanders, too. They're going to want to play.
Oh, yeah.
Real tough. All right, boys, let's take our last break. More Talkin' Cowboys right after this.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back to Talkin' Cowboys, sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee, the official coffee sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Our next segment is brought to you by, our next and final segment is brought to you by Quaker Oats, super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats is the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Boys, we got our oats in today. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I actually did have Whataburger this morning, though. It's a rare breakfast morning for me today.
Wow. Still a sponsor, technically.
Yeah. My girl's in town. She's like, can we get breakfast? I'm like, yeah, for sure. Come on. Let's go. Whataburger.
What a bees.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I like it.
Yeah.
And also Quaker Oats.
And also Quaker Oats.
Yeah, I had to get that in as well. All right, boys. Last segment. I want to talk about Mazi Smith real quick. You kind of teased it earlier in the show. His weight, more so. A lot has been brought up about his weight, his losing weight last season whenever he got, I think he started at 330 and then went down to about 290.
Yeah, I thought it was 175.
What?
I think he was hovering more so around like 323.
When he got here?
I think it was what he was listed as last year. And he was sub 300 by the end of the season. There was no official measurement at the end of the year, but he was looking sub 300.
The eye test.
Yeah. But Mike Zimmer actually talked about his weight and basically his conditioning last week. Do you want to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, so it's weird because it's depending on who you talk to, you kind of get a different answer as far as why that weight loss happened last year. Some kind of attribute it to him having that shoulder problem towards the end of the year and him not being able to get in the weight room as much. Some would attribute it to, him being more conditioned last year than what he was used to at Michigan. Some would say that it was because they were trying to fit him under the Dan Quinn defense under more so as a 3-tech rather than a 1-tech, which doesn't even make sense. I don't believe that sort of thinking. But that's what Mike Zimmer had kind of alluded to during his availability.
It doesn't matter what caused it.
It doesn't matter what caused it. Absolutely, it does not matter what caused it. He needs to be 320 plus to play 1-tech and to be able to just hone in the middle of that defensive line and be the guy there. He's got to do it this year. I believe they'll add another body there before camp. I'm pretty confident in that. And there's a couple of guys out there that I think could be better than Mazi Smith was last year already. I think there's a big concern around that position still, don't get me wrong, but there can be a body added to that group and it'd still be okay. But as far as Mazi Smith goes, his off-season shoulder surgery, he's going to have to come off that. He's going to have to be able to rehab from that completely in time for training camp and be ready to hit the ground running at training camp because he's going to have a couple of guys, not only Mike Zimmer but also defensive line coach Jeff Scanina on his rear end to get him ready to go for week 1.
And from John Machota, he said, Coach Zimmer said, we're going to start with the basics. Get him in a good stance. Get him using his hands the right way.
You have to do it in John's voice, though.
No,
I'm not doing that. We're going to start with the basics. Get him in a good stance. Get him using his hands the right way. Getting his footwork the right way. And then kind of go from there. We anticipate that he's going to be a good player like he was in college.
So he's saying that he was not a good player in year one, correct?
There's an appearance.
Something like that. Can we get him on?
There is. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
We're going to anticipate that he's going to be a good player like he was in college.
Dude.
What's up, bro?
Welcome back, Kyle Yeomans, to the show.
Just for a minute.
We're brothers.
What's up, my guy?
Happy, and we're singing.
Hey, guys.
What's up, man?
Fathers.
I walked in because I was doing an event in Frisco, and I was like, wait, Talkin's on the air, so I had to just like come across.
Let me see the eyes. Let me see the eyes. You look good. You're getting
Do
sleep.
I look okay?
Yeah, you're getting sleep.
I look fine?
Yeah.
How's Beamer doing in the back? I haven't even talked to Beamer yet.
I'm fine. 7 series.
He's fine. He
good.
said you got to go, actually.
Oh, okay. Let me get I'm not on the clock, but I just wanted to say hi. You guys are doing a great job.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, Josh is filling in great. I feel like we need to talk about Josh.
yeah.
Being on here.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
The kids are doing great.
Yeah,
all three home.
All three are home,
which is wild.
Trifecta, baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Mikey was the last one to get home, and he had surgery last week. So
how many diapers are you going through per day?
At least, I'm trying to think. I can give you like an exact
17,
number.
18.
So they get fed every 3 hours. So that's 8 feedings per kid.
Okay.
And they get changed usually once or twice per feeding. So that's 8 times 3, so 24.
Jesus.
So probably 30 to 40 at least. Yeah.
I almost said a bad word.
We need a diaper sponsor.
Go fund me for diapers.
Yeah, we need a diaper sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But
we need an official diaper sponsor for the Talkin Cowboys for sure.
Just wanted to come say hi.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Y'all doing all right?
Yeah, you doing good?
I'm good.
Overall?
I got 4 hours last night, so I'm feeling great.
That's actually pretty great, man.
Yeah, I got a little extra energy, a little pep in my step.
There we go.
So.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, just wanted to say hi.
Good to see you, man. Miss you, bro.
Good to see you, buddy.
Miss you guys. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, man.
So Mazi Smith, wait, right?
Yeah. So I mean, hearing that last sentence, we anticipate that he's gonna be a good player like he was in college. What do you think about that?
I honestly cannot speak to his play in college. It's not necessarily my forte.
I'm talking about Zimmer's statement.
Oh, I think it's probably best that he goes back to the sort of frame that he had when he entered the NFL draft, and not necessarily what he was doing last year. Just whatever he was doing last year, just maybe don't do that. And for Mike Zimmer's defense, I think it makes sense to keep him at a 3.
I'll say this: coming out of college, freakishly athletic for his size. Still is the case. I mean, we're only a year removed from that. Let's not get too far ahead from what he was whenever he arrived in the building. If the coaching staff was the one that wanted to experiment with losing weight with him and potentially moving him over to 3-tech, if that is the actual case, I see where they're coming from. Okay, hey, this guy's freakishly athletic. We have a guy, Jonathan Hankins, that can man down the 1-tech. Let's try to maximize this athleticism potentially at 3-tech. So we have 2 guys in the defensive interior that have this size, they have this build, and one of them is freakishly athletic. The other one just knows how to fill up running lanes. Okay. And I understand where they're coming from in that sense. Granted, you still have Osa, who I think is a freakishly athletic guy in his own right, but maybe Mazi, you see a little bit more size there and a little bit more ability to plug running lanes, and maybe an ability to rush the passer as well. Dan Quinn always talked about it too. I don't love it, though. I'm not saying – I'm just seeing where they were coming from. Yeah. But I could see Dan Quinn having that mindset because he goes after athletic guys. He wants to maximize athleticism over anything else. That's why you looked up last year and you only had 1 linebacker left on the roster is because they were trying to prioritize athletic guys under the Quinn defense.
Our very own JM asked him a little bit more detailed questions, and Zimmer came back and said he is going to be an attacking 3 technique to get up the field. But the plan for this season is to probably play blocks a little more.
So they're going to play him at 3-tech. Who do you play? Who's going to be the 1-tech? Who is going to be the 1-tech on this roster?
Isaiah's looking for him.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Zimmer's words, not mine.
Post June 1, I feel like you find out a little more.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, that's a fascinating.
It remains to be seen, I think, on that end. And it just They'll figure something out. It's just like it's not gonna be what.
That's not what the people want to hear, Josh.
Right? I mean,
that's not what they want to hear, bro.
There will be players there. There will be guys.
Players outside of free agency and outside of the draft.
Is the front? Maybe the front's just gonna look different.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe the front's just gonna look a lot different.
I can go with that.
Yeah.
Hey man, Micah Parsons still plays on this team. You got DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, Carl Davis. Anyway, yeah,
we got to move on.
What do you have more concern over, defensive tackle or running back?
D tackle.
Yes, same.
Defensive tackle for sure.
A lot of people are putting so much emphasis and focus on this running back.
I don't understand why.
I get why. It's because it's a big position, and
I don't think so.
Of course, there's
because
a lot
it's
of,
the Cowboys. You need to have a.
I don't think so either.
You have if your offensive line is moving mountains off the ball, it doesn't matter who's toting the rock.
Yeah.
Kevontae Turpin will have success as a running back if the offensive line is moving guys off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
That is where your focus has to be. That's where you need to invest your money at. No disrespect to the creators out there who play the running back position, but there's just very few of them left. And which is why their value has gotten down. That doesn't mean that guys can't contribute. Doesn't mean that guys can't catch, can't pass block, can't run the ball for. But what are you doing to separate yourself from the other 1,000 running backs around the league? There's probably small margins that are going to separate those guys.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, that's not where my focus is. I want my O-line to move anybody who steps to the line of scrimmage. These defensive fronts that we just talked about, Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit, San Fran. If you can't move those guys off the ball, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you had King Henry in the back. He's not running over 330 pounds, except for maybe get 2 yards. It's going to be, a cloud of dust. The running back position is going to be perfectly fine by committee. You have to address the O-line. And if you address the O-line, trust me, you're going to be Gucci. But if you don't address the D-line, you're going to be getting moved off the ball the same way we're talking about our offensive line, hoping that they move guys off the ball.
It's going to be that Green Bay game kind of over.
It's going to be worse because there's no Jonathan Hankins.
Yeah.
Granted, you have stability in the second level now, which I'll give the front office credit for that. I think they did a good job in addressing the second level this year to the best of their ability. Were there better names out there? Absolutely, but based on what they wanted to spend at the position, I think they got the best guys that they could possibly get with the money they had available to them. But the defensive tackle position got to be addressed. It's got to be.
Cleveland's going to run. Baltimore's going to run. Pittsburgh's going to run. Detroit's going to run. San Francisco's going to run. Philly's going to run.
Your mama's going to run. Yeah. Your daddy's going to run.
They're going to run. You know what I'm saying? These are teams that are going to run the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll have to supplement that somehow. With that positive note, boys, we'll be back next Tuesday.
Wait another week.
Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Cowboy Storyline will be up later today at 1 p.m. Central Time for Nick Harris. Almost forgot your name. Isaiah Standback, Christopher Beamer in the back, Kyle Yeomans, who is here today. Josh Rodriguez will be back next week. Thank you.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!